Hello everyone, welcome. Tony Winston here with Jazz Piano College. I put up a video recently about the blues using some 2-note voicings and some 3-note voicings in my left hand. And today I thought I'd kind of mix some of these voicings up and kind of create some chords in the left hand that will flow a little bit better. So let's start with it in the key of C here. And I'm just going to use like a C6 chord right here. And I don't have the root on the bottom, but it is a C6 chord. And I probably will get away from the blues scale just a little bit in this video as well. So we'll be using C major bebop scale. See? That's that one passing tone. And we'll be using a few other scales too. So that's a good way to get through the first two measures. You do a C6 to an F, the diminished chord, and then back to C. Okay, and these could be dominant chords as well, so. It works just as well with dominant chords as sixth chords. Here's a C6, and there's the F, sixth, and the diminished, same diminished, and C6th, but I could do the same thing with C7th. F, diminished, and C7th. Now, in our fourth bar, and there on bar 4, if you go from G minor to C7, that's like a 2-5-1 getting you to the 4 chord. So it's not really a 2-5-1. You probably would analyze that as a minor 5 chord, a dominant 1 chord, and a dominant 4 chord. But, you know, really it's a 2-5-1. And the 1 can be a major, minor, or anything, but, you know, in the blues it's going to be an F major or an F7th. All right, so here we go from the top. Now there I used a diminished chord from my C7th. It's just like a C7th, but it's got the flat 9 in it there. So same kind of thing. All right, into the second line of the blues. Here's F. And there's the F sharp diminished that I used, you know, back in the first line as well. And then once again going to the C. And there, you know, you can think of that as either an E flat chord or an A chord, either one. And you know, this was a chord that we used a lot in the in my last video. And then we're going to do a D minor like this, and a G7 like that. And then our turnaround is pretty much the same as before. Something like that. Lots of ways to do that. Just showing you different combinations of chords that you can use for the turnaround. All of those are going to work. Here, all right. All right. That's still an A7, and then D and G, C. All right, let's run through the blues one time here, and I'll try to use as much of that stuff as I can. So there I'm starting C6, then just doing an inversion. Let me explain again what I did. I started on C, second chord F, and you could go to F minor there too to get back to C, But I used F diminished, F sharp diminished, back to C. That C, you know, different inversion. And then my 2-5-1 there going to F. There's an F minor instead of F diminished. And, you know, that gives the bass player the freedom to go to B flat there, which works pretty well. And then you could go down to the 3 chord, and then that's the E minor, and then an A chord could be like this diminished chord right here. There's a D minor. Looks like an F6. Another thing that you can do, especially with these 3-note voicings, is just take each one of them up a half step and kind of go back and forth like that. And then you can do this going to F. See, that's an F chord right there. Yeah. And then do the same thing going back to C. There's our A chord. And then, you know, the last line, there's so many possibilities because it's a kind of a turnaround, a lot of cycle of fifths involved here. So we'll just go D minor, and then a G7. We could use a diminished chord. All right, and then here's some turnarounds. You know, you can go C, A as a diminished chord, but it's an A7, and then D minor and G7. Okay, do some other variations here. Well, it kind of looks like F6, but I'm thinking of it as D minor now. And there's a G chord. And then our turnaround. All right. A7, D7, G7. And you know, the bass player can do tritone substitutions all over the place with these things. Right? Doesn't always have to be C, A, D, and G. It could be C, A flat instead of D. And then instead of G, you could go D flat. All those will work. Especially in the more jazzy forms of the blues, to, you know, use the 6th chord instead of the 7th, and go to an F6 and a F sharp diminished to get you back to a C, and then that kind of temporary 2-5-1 that takes you into F. You could even use an F major chord there. As long as you go to that diminished, because it kind of gives you that blues feeling again. And then back to C. Now right here on the C, you could kind of turn it into a, you know, looks like C 7th, but you could think of it as an E minor 7 flat 5. Because that takes you nicely to an A7, see? All right. Then, you know, D dominant. Okay, enough variations for today. However, I did get to thinking it's never enough. Let's do it in F. We got F. Now, that kind of looks like I just went to G minor, but it could be that 4 chord. It could be B flat, see? All right, I guess I could have done that back in C, too. Right? So now I'm going to do it in... All right, here we are. Establish the key. All right, and then our C minor to F. That takes us to the 4 chord, B flat. All right, that's a 4 minor and a flat 7 chord. Not that common to do it, but that's a little bit more common. Then back to our F chord, then B flat, A, and D. All right, and then, you know, the 2 chords usually a minor. But in the blues, the 2 chord can be a dominant, and many times it is. And, I did get to thinking about, when you have a lot of dominant chords in a row, and you're using the diminished scale over those dominant chords, there's a certain hierarchy of diminished scales. Right, E flat. Our 6th chord is rock.